Hey everyone, Drewby's Apiary here. Probably noticed something very interesting about apiary yard number 1. There are no hives here anymore. Unfortunately, I had to move them. The property owner didn't want me to keep them there anymore, wanted me to change them to a different location. You know, nothing either of us did. It was just time for that time to come. And so at this point, I consolidated all the hives that were in this yard to what was, we'll call, what was apiary yard number 4. We will, moving forward, call that apiary yard number 1, just because that's going to have the vast majority of stuff, and a lot of it which came from this yard. So bit sad that we can't use this yard anymore. It was a good one. This is where I got my start, is in this little backyard area. Lots of tree cover, so it's a little one of those more shaded areas to keep bees. It's not like it got direct sun, but honestly, this is where I cut my teeth, so to speak, when it came to learning the ropes. And again, it was a great time while it lasted, while we were here. So we'll be moving on to the other 3 yards. It's where the majority of the footage you'll see moving forward will be. You won't really see any footage here any longer. So real quick, what this video is going to be about, though, is, aside from just announcing this, I know it's been a bit since my last video. It's probably been about a month. There's a lot that's obviously happened here in Georgia. We'll be going over swarms, splits, new hives, consolidations, all that jazz before going into the spring flow that should be here very soon. I may have mentioned at the beginning of the video, but today is April the 6th, and it has been a crazy, basically month and a half here in beekeeping, getting ready for the nectar flow, which, crossing my fingers, I'm hoping that'll be here within the next 2 weeks or so. But you never know. It is Georgia. I need to start seeing where my folks in South Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, all that, Florida, what they're already getting. But here where I'm at, I'm seeing some nectar still coming in. Naturally, I'm seeing bees draw out wax, but it hasn't been them going absolutely, just full on bringing in anything yet, or drawing out wax. So I know we're close. We're just not there yet. So following this, like I said, we're going to move to one of the other yards, and I will show you some stuff. Real quick, before we leave the old apiary yard number 1, just grabbing some old supplies over here. Some, this whole tree house used to be full of just beekeeping equipment, really just boxes and like frames, and never had any issues with wax moths outside of the normal wax moth season, but just leave stuff in here, right? And as I was cleaning it out today, I was up here and I was like, man, there's a lot of bees flying around up here. And sure enough, and I'm about to confirm this, but it looks like we might have had a little swarm move in into this little clear plastic container, just like this was. It just had 2 old, crummy pieces of broken wax frame comb that I'd left in here. Coincidentally, there's a little plastic baggie with an old swarm lure in there. Not saying that's what did it, but it's just funny that this happened. And again, they're showing behavior. I haven't pulled them out to look for a queen, but that's kind of cool, because this is almost acting like a little observation hive. You can see. So again, could be nothing, but I'm about to pull them out. If I do end up finding a recently swarmed queen in there, I'm going to grab them, because there's no resources on these old frames. There should be no reason they're showing this behavior. And so if it is a tiny little swarm, I will move them and put them somewhere else, see if they can build up, hopefully. So let's take a look real quick. Now again, not exactly sure why they would move in here. Could be wrong, might not be nothing. Also, you probably noticed some, now that we're in Georgia, back to ventilated jackets. It's too hot otherwise. Let's pull this out real fast. Nothing weird about that. Looks like everything's on this closest frame. Take a quick look in here, see if we see anything. No? I don't see anything. These could just be bees that honestly were left behind when I moved. You know, sometimes when bees, you know, when you move their home, and if there's leftover bees, if they don't just go somewhere to die, like if they're basically homeless, they sometimes might congregate somewhere that feels like close to home. In this case, this old comb, and just kind of make something of it. A little beetle right there. See if I can squish him or her. Kind of see her walking around right there. Just very interesting. So I'm actually going to leave this here then, if that's the case. Alright, so yeah, no reason. I don't see a queen in here. I just thought that was very bizarre. It almost looked like there was a little mini swarm, but we're gonna let them do their thing. Because again, if this was a swarm, there would be a queen on here. You wouldn't have like a virgin queen, most likely. I've heard of after swarms where basically when multiple swarm cells hatch, sometimes the new queens that come from that might fly off. And I'm not saying that's not what this is, but I don't see an immature queen running around anywhere on here. If she was out on a mating flight, you know, maybe she just hasn't made it back, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on this. So yeah, we'll just leave them here, see what they do. Very interesting. Hey everyone, we're out here at, I guess this would be considered what, apiary yard number 3, right? This is under the big tree. And I'm out here. I haven't been out here in almost a month. Not quite, but it's getting on there. Getting close to that time. And let's just say I need to come out here because the last time I was out here, I had been checking on splits or checking on queens being made. And so at this time, over here on this side, these are all new hives that you see. This doesn't have anything in it, this 5-frame nook. But the 3 over here that are facing, I think this is, let's see. This is south. Or actually, that's really like south-southwest that way. These 3 hives were split about a month and a half ago. For the most part, they were queens that I moved. As in, I believe it's the far right on this side, or depending on from you guys' perspective, how you're looking, the far left. That's an old queen from last year. These 2 middle ones, those are brand new queens. And then behind me, from my last visit, these 2 are queenless. They were in the process of making a new queen, and then the one on the far left on that side, it had a queen, which I marked, but she might be a laying drone, a drone layer. So if that's the case, unfortunately, we're gonna have to solve that problem with replacing her in the nicest way possible, which is usually us getting rid of her. So we're gonna go through these today, just make sure nothing else stands out, make sure we're seeing eggs and brood in this yard, see if we've got new queens over here or not. If not, we'll give them more brood to make one, but at this point they should have one. And then these I'm going to super up in preparation of the nectar glow, because while they're probably not full of bees, they probably will be soon, assuming that the queens in there have been doing a good job laying, and they will need space to fill. the nectar that's going to come in. So without further ado, I'm going to get started, and I will stop the video or show you some video if anything good is worth showing you. I was just a little bit into this inspection. I'd seen some fresh eggs. Again, this was mainly all swarm cells that I had left in here, or just, you know, capped swarm cells from another hive, because I knew they didn't have a queen. And right here, let me see if I can see her again. She's on here, because I said I saw the eggs, and then I just saw her on this frame. We're gonna grab her, we're gonna mark her. Let's see if I can get her on the screen. There she is. Right here, running around. See her? So I'm gonna get my queen catcher, because that's what I'm most comfortable with. I'm gonna try to catch her with the cage. She's very fast. Like I said, she's been laying up a storm. They haven't been capping, so my guess is she probably got mated in the past week. Again, last time I was out here was, I think, on the 10th of last month. So it's been a bit. And in that time, fortunately, we have a new one. So, like I said, she's run around really quickly, so I'm not gonna waste y'all's time. Oh, there she is. She's really quick. I'm gonna catch her with this cage, and then I will show you when I mark her. I'm about to coax her into my marking container. It'll be easier to do if I get her down like this. There, she's in there. You're running around. Pretty easy. Using red pens for years, ending in 3 and 8, I believe. So let me get this ready. We want her marked for my convenience sake. And the fact that she's already mated is why I'm marking her. If she was not mated, if she was a virgin queen, I would not want to interfere in any way with her flight. There we go, perfect. Well, actually almost perfect. A little bit more. There we go. There. She's marked. Not too hard. I give her about a minute or so to dry off. And then I'll reintroduce her. In the meantime, I'm just gonna organize some frames. There were some missing frames from my last visit that I did not remember. So I'm gonna make sure that it's a 10 frame box. My supers I'm trying to do all as 9 frame instead of the full 10. It's just easier. But for all my supers, 10s, my deeps, high bodies, they can be 10. That's fine. There's just more space for the queen to lay. No reason to not do so. And now that I know the queen's not in here, I can move a little quicker. Okay. Everything else over here is just blanks. Said, give them as much space as you can, guys, especially if you're going into your nectar flow in your area, because they will fill it up, and you might as well give them as much space to do so before they go crazy with it. So I'm gonna grab a queen excluder. I'm okay with using a queen excluder since we know we have a queen. We know where she's gonna be. I'm about to reintroduce her right now back into the main hive body. again, if you reintroduce her too quickly after putting that paint on her, there's a good chance that the workers will try to clean that off. So our goal is to give it time to dry before they get a chance to do that, because they will. Trying to climb. There she is. We're checking her out. She's in. Okay. Too easy. Get this queen scooter on. Put our super back on. I'm opening up my hive entrances. Now that it's getting much warmer, many of our days here in Georgia are now getting into the 80s during the day. I think our cold spells are gone. Spring slash soon to be summer will be here before we know it. Right now, let me just get these super frames spaced out. I was talking about using 9 frames. That was a weevil, it wasn't a bee that I just killed. Talking about using 9 frames up in the top box. Important that if you're going to do that your frames are spaced, otherwise they will be drawn out in a very bizarre fashion. So I just use this little plastic 9-frame spacer. You just kind of line everything up the way it should go. Kind of gives you advice. That's where everything needs to be. There. This needs to be over here. This needs to be over here. There we go. Spaced right there. It's good to know this is now queen right. Hopefully she can get enough worker bees ready to go, because this isn't a huge population because they had such a delay from swarming and from being split. I can't remember if this is the one that split this, as in I took the queen, or if this is one that I couldn't find the queen. I think this is one that I already had the queen and I just moved her. Okay. It's close enough. All right. You're good right here. This box had some random loose honeycomb that was being drawn out on the bottom. Took that from them. Let them pick it clean in here. That's it. Let's move down the line. Now, one thing I mentioned with this far right one right here is that the last visit I was out here, it appeared that the queen was what we call a drone layer, essentially. Usually that can happen if, when the queen goes out on her mating flight, she doesn't get properly mated. That can happen. Maybe she didn't get enough genetic material on her mating flight. I did mark her the last time I was out here. I was hoping to find her so I could sadly squish her. But let me show you something. Actually, that's not it. Right there. She's definitely only really laying drones. You can kind of tell a little bit there. She's only really been able to lay drones. Every time I find, if you see cells that have an egg in it that look drawn out, like in preparation for a drone, but you're not seeing your normal, brood pattern for the female worker bees, you know something's up. And these bees are definitely very agitated. You can always tell bees know based upon how agitated they are. I mean, look at that right there. That's all just drone brood. Same on the other side. She's not even, I shouldn't say she's not trying, I'm sure she's trying, but so she needs to go. Now, I say all that, this is very interesting. Comment below if you've seen this. If she is a laying drone layer only, I was always under the impression that you yourself have to pretty much figure out a way to replace her, you know, whether that's with a swarm cell or something else. And what's interesting is right here, just pulled this frame out, there are some supersedures, like they know what's up. Almost capped. Kind of see them hanging right there. And again, they've definitely drawn them out as though it's going to be a queen to replace her. If that's possible, I don't see why she wouldn't then be able to lay normal worker bees. So comment below, can a drone laying queen, can it allow a supersede, can it basically lay its replacement, is the question I want to ask, or is there only something you can do? Because clearly there's 2 developing swarm cells in here that are almost capped, on their way, and if she did that, great, but I just don't understand. Or are they not going to happen? Are they going to be failure queens, as in like is the process going to start and nothing gonna result from it? So anyways, just figured I'd share that with you all, where this hive was at. So like I said, they're very behind. I'm actually going to take their super box off and give it to a different hive, just to make a different one stronger. And yeah, and then we'll finally get to the back row. All right, we are on the other side, the new side. These ones are looking pretty good. They're I wouldn't say they're packed with bees, but you know, this one's like probably the middle 5 frames. That one was middle 5 frames. Haven't gone into this one yet, but they're all about the same. The good thing though is that the amount of brood that's in there, they're going to explode here within the next week or 2. Hopefully lining up right with the nectar flow. So I'm still going to give them the space. They don't necessarily have to have it, but I've got the equipment out here today, and so why not? I know the queens are laying, seen fresh eggs, seen the whole thing. So might as well super up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one needs to be evened out. But again, if you've got the frames and you know that your flow is coming, give it to them, because it's very hard to time. Again, unless you live in an area where you think you're going to get another cold spell, I would super up. Or I know you've all been supering up, especially if you live in the south, but I mean, I've caught a few of my own swarms. I've caught some wild swarms this year. I've made a lot of splits. But like I said, I've definitely lost, you know, to reiterate, I've definitely lost some of my own hives in the sense of, like, you know, had queens be replaced. So I'm not the pinnacle of doing the right thing all the time, I can promise you that. But these are 9, gave them more room. Just be careful, because it's that time of the year, that's for sure. So, all right. Like I said, that's pretty much it for here. I'll give final thoughts here in a minute. All right, that's pretty much it. Like I said, supered up, checked on our queen status. Like I said, we're good for all 3 of these. Didn't actually physically see the queens on these, but definitely plenty of, you know, fresh eggs and brood that's within like 2 or 3 days old. So I wasn't too worried about that. Definitely expanded them because, again, they're going to explode their population. Really the only problem child back here, like I said, these 2 are now good. They've got new queens, freshly marked. Still this one. I don't know what we're going to do about this hive, folks. This hive has been, even since last year, a poor performer. I don't think I got any honey out of it. I think I was constantly trying to take care of it. I don't know what it's about this spot, but it's been requeened. It's had the whole shebang. It's never been a good hive, ever. Don't know why. But anyways, just wanted to share what was going on with my situation. I was hoping I would be able to show you the other yard, but I just don't think there's enough time for the purpose of this video. Just, you know, be ready for the nectar flow coming in. Make sure you're supered up if you can. You know, I'm trying to get more supers assembled. I don't know if I'm going to make it in time. Just have too much other stuff going on. But if you've got the time to do it, be ready if you haven't already, because should be here soon. So y'all take care. Hope y'all have a good week. Have a happy Easter, and I'll talk to y'all soon.